We're doing F30 things.
Yeah, we're effing off all week. There we go, Tyrone. To the window, to the wall. Alright, so we are going to finish the wastegate dump tubes for the F30. We were back on that this week. I'm very excited. So I want to do something cool. We decided that we're going to do like a muzzle brake style coming out of the hood. Duarte said he always wanted something like this. So I made a little mock-up one just to see if he liked it. He loves it. So I want to do a little bit of an angle because they are all pie cuts coming up. So I have to take and make the bottom of this a pie cut as well. Do it 3.5 degrees. So I'm going to make a new one now that he says he likes it. I'm going to show you guys how I got this to be symmetrical and all of the holes lining up how they do. Pretty easy. First thing you want to do is figure out your circumference of your pipe. And the easiest way to do that is just find some cord, some wire anywhere, you know, and you just have a starting point, so where the wires end, and I'm just going to wrap this around and stop it where the other one starts. So that will give me my circumference around it, which I've already done it. It's 6 inches.
Math has been hard.
So to get the diameter or the
that's what pi is for.
That's what pi is for. So
Whoa.
it's diameter times 3.14.
So
it is.
Since you know the diameter of that, because you purchased that, you could just multiply that.
Yeah, you could, and you would find the circumference of it.
Or you could do this.
Or you could do this if you don't want to do math. It's 6 inches, so we're going to do every ½ inch. We're going to mark it around here, and the easiest way to do that, your tape measure bends the opposite way too, so you can actually wrap it around your thing and get a good measurement. So it doesn't matter where you start as long as you keep the measurement the same throughout the whole thing. So we're going to do a ½ inch. Start there, and we're going to go every ½ inch. So it doesn't really matter. So ½ inch, you mark it at the next ½ inch, mark it at the next one, and you just keep on cruising around until you get all the way to the other one. So you can move your tape measure if you want to. Just mark it back at either a whole inch or a ½ inch, and then you can start making your marks again. All right, so now we have those marks done. The easiest way, I need it to be 3 inches long. So I'm gonna mark 3 inches on this.
Finally, a more realistic measurement.
Right? Boom. So I want it to be, that's where it's gonna end at, and I want 1 inch of it to go up before I start doing my holes. So I have 1 inch between here and here just so it clears the hood. It's actually 1.25 inches. I added a little bit to this. So easiest way to draw lines on a round thing is just put something up against it. And then as long as you have your mark in the same spot, you can just go back and forth and it'll stay in the same spot. I'm sure somebody has a better way of doing this. This is just a fast way for me to do it. So to get this offset, I want to have 1/4 inch off of this end, and I'm going to go up 1 inch from here and then start from there. So I'll be able to have one row will be able to have 4 holes, the other holes will be 3, and it'll just offset. So it has that staggered look to it, just like a flame suppressor or flash suppressor on a rifle or a pistol does. Unfortunately, I needed this to actually be like 6.5 inches round to hit perfect 4-3, 4-3, 4-3. So I'll show you where my math didn't math right there.
Oh.
Okay, I will show my failures. I don't want to try to correct it because then the math is just going to mess with me. So I have these go together close to each other, so where they stack up next to each other, I'm going to put that there.
All right, so we've got the opportunity to work with a lot of cool people throughout all the builds and everything like that. One of the guys saw our channel and through a couple forums and stuff like that, he actually reached out and said we had a couple products that would help us out. So for one, he made us this cool boot here that works for the top of the PDMs. He also has them available for different ECUs. They're all 3D printed and 2-piece, so you can actually do it after you've already completed your harness, which makes it really convenient. He makes this piece here, which is actually for our USB to CAN, which is currently just double-sided tape. So this gives you a lip, and it's a 2-piece bracket that bolts up on top, as well as my favorite thing that he makes is This right here is a Mac valve mount. So not only does it come with the wiring for the 2-pin connector already built into it, so you just run your wires, put your terminating in, and it actually includes the connector as well. But it also comes with a holding bracket and 2 mounting points, so you can mount this anywhere in your car and it'll look convenient. It's all 3D printed, like high quality stuff. So the name of the company is Wire Monkey, so check him out. I believe it's on eBay and he's overseas, but his stuff came over here really quickly. So we got everything set up from Wiring Specialties for this car. So we did add a lot of extra stuff. We have our entire pressure sensor hub over here. So they gave us the option to add all this stuff. You kind of just give them measurements from how far from the firewall to whatever component it is that you added to the harness. Other than that, they have great harnesses for not only plug and play, so you can just plug it into your car and whatever motor swap you put in there works with all your stock gauge functionality and everything like that, or a universal harness like this one, to where you will have basically like a flying lead on the end side here where you only need to put constant and switch power, but they'll also give you all the outlets for if you need an aftermarket tax signal and things like that if you're not running everything through the CAN bus. Wiring Specialty gives you a lot of different options for how you want to set up your harness and you know how you want it to look in terms of like tucking everything under the engine bay, or I'm sorry, under the intake manifold, or you know, having everything exposed in the top to make it a little easier to service.
I am a fabricator, and in order to fabricate my next piece, I must remove said subframe out of F30, because I don't know why he can't do it, but they can't get the power steering to work. So we're going to take this power steering rack out of here, and I'm going to put in a manual rack or a hydraulic power steering rack and pump and remove this electric one. So I'm going to do the same thing to this rack or subframe that I had to do to the F30. Basically I have to cut out and notch a whole bunch to fit the bigger size hydraulic rack inside of here, and it comes back farther too. So that is going to be fun. But I'm almost done. I got everything up top disconnected. My coilovers are out. Very easy with the BC coilovers. Just 3 bolts, and then you know the F30 has a little strut tower brace that you have to actually unbolt as well to drop the top hats out of it. So I'm just doing my P's and Q's, making sure I got everything else disconnected. I have my subframe bolts all loosened up so I can pry it away from it, make sure the engine stays where it's at, because I did put an engine cradle up there with chains. And what I'm going to do is I have this Johnny right here to protect me. And in case you're wondering, it's not a chair, everyone, so don't try and use it as a chair, but it is really good at holding up engine. So after I get the subframe dropped down, I'm going to actually lower this down and make sure that my chains up top are holding steady, and then I'll remove this out of the way, get my subframe out, and then I'll put this back up here just to be safe. You don't want the thing falling out. It's a really expensive motor, and I don't know how much I trust engine braces up top. I like a little bit extra, you know, underneath. So I'm going to get this removed. I'm going to clean it all up, cut it apart, and put in all the wide stab stuff that I got. We already have it in stock here at Drift HQ, so it's really easy. I went over, picked it up, I just got to weld it in. And their directions are found online at wisefab.com, so it's really easy if you misplace them, because I lose everything. You can look them up online and they have a real easy instruction on what to do, how to cut it. But it does come with templates if you can keep the stuff in the box when you buy the rack relocation kit. The templates help a lot. A couple turns on that guy. I don't want it to drop all the way out, because I just want it to drop low enough to make sure that my engine hoist is actually, our engine brace is tight enough, so when I drop the subframe down low, I'll take the weight off of this, make sure that that's actually supporting it before I remove this, because this is in the way of getting the subframe out. So I'm just going to drop it down a little bit by a little bit, make sure that it separates from the engine mounts and doesn't cause any damage to anything. Chris isn't here, so I'm playing Mr. Chris today. Be scared. You should be scared.
As we got Supervisor Adam over here, making sure it all works. Oh, Polish safety standard.
Polish safety standard.
I mean, nothing done. I did it! Good night! Hey, look at that, Chris!
Mechanic, bro.
Now a certified
This, this only happens because Kurt needs to fabricate, so this is part of the fabrication process.
No, it's not. No, it's not. It comes to me clean and ready. That's fabrication process. I'm gonna, helping Chris out because he don't feel good today, and I'm gonna do it for him. It's all right, and it's pretty easy. It was 6 bolts on the bottom and 6 bolts on the top. Actually, 8 bolts on the top. There's 3 for the coilover and then 1 for the top hat. But hold on to the shut tower.
It's bolts.
It's just bolts. It's easy to pull.
All right, so it is experimental day. We are currently going to take the power steering system out of this. We have a hydraulic setup on this car in Tyrone with a regular 2JZ power steering pump along with a bunch of chase-based stuff, reservoir, power steering cooler from Ishimoto, and we are gonna actually swap all of it over into this car. So this car originally comes with an electric rack. All of the wiring, the coding, and all that stuff's a huge nightmare. So try and simplify things. We are just going to swap all of the hydraulic components into that. That being said, this car is going to be driving the Polecat event, and so WiseFab has came out with a controller for the E92 electric power steering racks. So we are going to install the electric power steering rack in this thing and give that a test and see how it works for you guys.
Yeah, and then I have to weld on the WiseFab bracket for the hydraulic rack from this going into the F30 chassis. So I'll show you how to do that at the same time. I got this all welded in. Thanks to WiseFab for giving me this and all the specs on how to do it. It was very easy. His basically bolted up after you chop the fins off, and then you put the new one in there and bolt it in and go. So this came off of an E92 and it goes into the F30. So technically any E92 rack would work in here. WiseFab, we're taking a E92 M3 electric rack and putting it into Tyrone. That's what Chris is doing right now. So during all of this process, Chris and Adam looked at it and was like, well, the electric rack would work in the F30 because it bolts up to this. And then Adam had the wise idea because this actually runs off a CAN bus.
Yes.
So you're going to make this happen.
So this steering rack runs off CAN bus. You basically need 5 wires, which is power, ground, CAN high, CAN low, and wake up signal. And this is basically almost the same as the F30 rack, besides the fact that F30 rack uses 2 wires for FlexRay instead of CAN bus. So because of this, we should be able to run the exactly same wiring, change the pin out on the from FlexRay to CAN bus, and then connect inside the car to the former FlexRay wires and run CAN bus to this rack, which should take care of the issues we had with the F30 rack.
Layman's terms. All right, we don't have to put in this hydraulic rack in a car that didn't come with one already, and we already stuffed it full of stuff. Like we have an AC compressor on the car because it's not a race car, it's a street car. So there's not much room in there, plus we'd have to run a reservoir and all sorts of stuff, and it leaks. So he just saved us a ton of work. Thank you for that, Adam, because it was gonna cost us a ton of work. We would have to re-belt the whole thing, figure out the right belt size and everything, find a place to mount the power steering pump, the reservoir, run all the lines. It doesn't need a cooler, thankfully, because it's not a drift car, but it saved us probably 6 hours worth of work doing stuff, maybe 5 hours. So we just gave him the 5 hours worth of work. Way to be a team player, buddy.
So WiseFab supplied their electronic power steering module.
Yeah, it's real cool. Instead of having to run something external that you have to find a place to mount, this connector is actually built into their little module. So this will snap right in, and then one of the OEM bolts will hold it in place. So you don't have to worry about finding a place to mount it. All you gotta do is hook up power and ground to this thing, right? Yeah, power and ground to this thing. And then there's the main connector on the rack that has the main power and ground that come from 125 amp fuse. So we are gonna have to source that connector to run the power wire back up to the battery or the alternator, whatever we see fit. But this should make it nice and easy.
And they sent us too.
And they sent us two, which works out perfect because the other one needs one too.
So Adam's job gets a little simpler.
Yeah, I wanted it to be hard for him, but. I took that guy out. Now we move our harness out of the way and we just plug this in. Just like,
I heard a click.
there it is. Alright, so now we pull this up this way. Then there's a cover piece. So the cover piece is actually your wiring guide. So one of these wires will get hooked up to power. Then there's 3 different levels of assist. So high assist is with this one connected to battery positive. Medium assist is not hooked up at all, and then low assist is hooked up to battery ground. So you can kind of play with it depending on how much feedback you want out of the car. And this little bracket here goes right over top of this. Oh, just throwing stuff, don't mind me. Goes down into there, boom, just like that. All right, ground goes right there where it says ground. Crazy. And then the OEM rack bolt goes back in this hole and plugs up. Make it nice and easy. Don't have to question yourself.
You know exactly what to do right there. Zip tie.
That's exactly what I'm doing.
Following directions.
Right? Look at me.
Yeah, so proud of you. Who's a big boy?
I'm a big boy.
Who's a big boy?
Thank you for watching. Next time you see this car is going to make over 1,000 horsepower. Now like, share and subscribe, and remember,
Tag your friends in it.
tag your friends in.
Yeah.
Do the kick.
Do the kick.
Y'all. Kick you. Kicking ass. That's what you're doing.
Oh,
Kicking ass.
Yeah.
There you go. There it is.